Today, Game Maker Toolkits. No, these already exist. Today, Game Maker Fast Tips. Welcome again to the channel, my name is Noah. Today I want to share with you how to create the game design. How to put all you have in your mind in a draft before starting to create your game. So let's start with it. This is not a professional way, this is something that I want to share with you because making this is crucial. It will define everything in your game, especially at start. So the first that you need to do is create a draft. In your draft you will put everything that you have in your mind, all your ideas. It doesn't matter if it's the art, the kind of music, the core game, doesn't matter, but you need to put everything that you have in your mind in your draft. And after this, when you can visualize everything that you have, you start connecting ideas and start watching how to start making them. This step is crucial because if you start making your game and you are arriving to a point where you don't know how to continue, maybe you invest a lot of time, hours, days, weeks, and you realize that this project cannot be continued because you don't know how. Or you start messing your code and having different ways and the game becomes a monster. And you need to avoid it because you are investing a lot of time and resources in creating your game. So yeah, the first that you need to do is create a draft. How can you do a draft? First of all, a brainstorm. You need to start thinking about everything that you have for your game and start writing. You start with the core idea and start expanding and expanding and expanding till you realize that you have a game. If you start thinking about a lot of add-ons that aren't part of the core game, it doesn't matter. Just write everything that you have because you start watching where's the way. And when you connect all your ideas, you will realize that you can continue with this. Yep, it's not so hard. You just need to put everything that you have in your mind. It doesn't matter if you think that you have everything that you need in your mind because this is not true. Maybe you can forget something or change something or whatever and it's not the same. You need a document where you can remember and continue expanding your world. So first step, making a draft. The next one is making a document. Okay, we already have our draft, we need a professional document where you will start explaining everything that we have for our game and expanding and connecting all the core ideas. Of course, if you are working with a theme, this is crucial. You need to have it, for example, in Google Docs or something like this, so you can share it with everyone and everyone can have the last version of the document. Here you will put everything that you have in your draft and you will start explaining how the world will be, how the core game will be, the mechanics that you have, the kind of art that you want to make, the kind of music, the kind of atmosphere. You will talk about your game in this document and you will share how you imagine it, how you believe that this must be. Imagine that it's a project for your school or something like this. You need to put everything. You are making an analysis of your own game with this document, and everyone that have access to this file can understand what will be happening in your world. You don't need to make an entire story or have everything polished or whatever, but you need to explain everything that you have in this file. When you finish this, it doesn't mean that your game will be great or bad or whatever, and it's not the final version of your game. In this document you will have access to the core idea and all that you want to add in the future. The next one is make a checklist. Define the first steps of your game, for example, creating the character, creating a world, or maybe the art, I don't know, or a dialogue system or whatever. For example, if you are making an FPS, you need a 3D player, a gun, a map, and an NPC to test. If you are making a visual novel, you need to create a dialogue and a story system. If you are making a platformer, you need to create a player, the actions, a level where you can test the movement, and the list continues and continues and continues. These are a few examples. Of course, it's changing the kind of game that you want to make. A few examples with my own games are, for example, in the tester I wanted to create a platformer and I finished with a character with a lot of different movements, and maybe you can compare with the poor version of Celeste. Pol & Tita is a top-down shooter with a twist, and I'm creating a shopkeeper game where I'm trying to test how to create a shopping system, a trade system, an economy and inventory, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, after having your checklist and the goals that you want to achieve with your game, you create your checklist and you start creating your minimum viable product. It's the minimal expression of your game, where you can test the core mechanics and you can continue expanding from there. And after this, you realize that your game can work. If your game is not working in this step, maybe you need to tweak your ideas. The minimum viable product is where the core idea is, and you can test if it works or not for your project. And if it's good, continue making your game, start polishing, adding content, whatever. So that's all. The first that you need to make is a draft, after this a document, and start making. You need to make it, please do it. You will make yourself a favor if you do it. What do you need to make your draft or whatever? For your draft you can just write it on paper because it's the most easiest way, I guess. It doesn't matter if it's nice or not, and after this you will make your document. I recommend using Google Docs if you are working with a team or not, and make this document if it's a school project. Put your best on it. And for your checklist you can use just your smartphone or paper or a whiteboard where you can put everything that you want and start developing from there and having a control about it. Creating the habit of making drafts or polishing in your paper or your whiteboard or a document can be very different if you are not used to it. If you want, you can create a sheet where you will put all the steps that you are making, when you made it, how much time it takes. I prefer to just have a whiteboard, a draft and a document where I can synchronize everything and start developing from there. Don't get so obsessed while trying to track all your progress, because you can get obsessed with the numbers and you will start pushing yourself to your limits and you will not enjoy it. So take it easy. So that's all. This is not a professional explanation or whatever. This is something that I'm used to make with my games because I found it very useful. I can keep a track of what I'm doing, what I'm going to make, where my core game is, and all this kind of stuff, and I can polish this before starting to polish my game. So hope you enjoy it and see you later. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment, give a like, all this kind of stuff. I really appreciate it. If you have tips for creating a game design and you want to share it in the comments, please do it, and see you in the next video, guys. Bye.